don't turn around for them, it could be having been 0-4 in their final showing of the regular season.
And that's why in the pregame was kind of mentioned here that Xavier seem like the favorites. They seem like the team that should be in number 3, whereas when you look at it, Bang, and excuse the pun, but they're more of an explosive team. Sometimes they really hit it off. Other times, they're not hitting the mark at all, and that's kind of been the case here. And as you sort of mentioned as well, they usually have a stronger start, so they're pulling off the shots early, but then, you know, they run out of bullets at some point. They run out of cannonballs or whatever.
They start off with a bang, they end with a whimper.
Start off with a bang and end firing blanks, maybe.
I mean, sure. Which would work if they'd beaten blank. Narc really got low there, but he's not dead yet. Going to be able to chop himself off. They actually flank around here from blue, put some pressure onto the point. This is smart from a bang. They're trying to force Xavier away from this set-up position. And Tay sticking around in some unfortunate spots there. This is Xavier getting pressured around onto the point now.
But it was also Tay kind of forcing THK off. Yeah, it was... No, it wasn't. THK is on the same team as Tay, so never mind that.
It doesn't quite work, but it is blue going down to Olivier, so the counter dive now in from Xavier, as they were kind of able to pull back, has had some success, but I mean, everyone's just kind of low. It could go either way at this point, depending on who connects the adequate shot to the right moments. The nano boost onto Narc to pop Dreamer is a good start, but he's also a little bit low. He could just as easily go down. Finally getting topped off, though, means they are able to stay in the fight, close out these last few. Killing Olivier just shy of self-destruct is big, means he cannot reset the mech, and the collapse from a bang finally coming through to close out the point.
I was trying to say is Oyo, not Tay. Oyo's the Zenyatta on the Logitech G bang side, forcing THK off of what kind of is a Daheem spot with the Widowmaker up in the top section, because Oyo was going for the volley onto THK, who, by the way, he either moves or he dies. That was very important, removing him out of the fight, making the Widowmaker kind of useless. Now Xavier, they've had to change up their composition at least a little bit, putting THK and Suntag onto new heroes here, and a bang to walk in with some ult advantage.
Oh man, that bio grenade onto Queen, and dying afterwards as well. Logitech G a bang. Off to a good start in this fight. They popped Dreamer as well, and they got the Transcendence to buy them time. EMP as well, so they could close out these last few. Means Olivier can't use that self-destruct there. They're going to be able to get a third off this. Probably going to be able to get a second one as well, especially if they can keep these members low and down. Oh dear. Boost onto one right as he died. And also the bio grenade missed not only Queen, but also one. They're still a little bit ahead in this fight here, a bang, but not as much so as they were a moment ago. Self-destruct here from Olivier buys time for Xavier to start regrouping on the point. They do have to avoid smiteable self-destruct. And this could actually be a second 30 for a bang.
It should be, because now you're about to head into the Visor as well. Xavier running out of options to contest this one. They're fighting directly into Visor. They don't even have a choice. They just have to get to the point itself. And Blue, he's basically uncontested.
Olivier,
he has so much free damage now.
No mech and Queen low. They've really got to work hard at this one. They finally get some kills through, thanks to that EMP out of Sontag. Could not have come in at a better time. It's only barely going to be 2/3 for a bang as well. But they nearly got pushed off without quite getting that second one completed. Xavier had a moment to regroup, didn't quite take full advantage of it, but back through anyway.
And the problem is, the Bang actually had more ultimates to cycle into. If they stayed, they had the opportunity to stay. It would have been, you know, perhaps the Transcendence coming out, a second nano. The EMP is available as well. They're going to come back for all these ultimates in this push, but they also could have done it last push. It'll be this now, though.
One's looking for an angle on an EMP, but I think he knows better than to commit it here. Man, that's a really far back Transcendence out of Oyo. I mean, Queen is going to die, but he's going to respawn soon. That was disastrous for a bang.
It certainly was. The nano onto Narc, letting him jump in there, but immediately slipped by Dreamer, so I guess that's a pretty good name for him. And then also on the other side, one tried to dive in with Narc, but couldn't quite find the angle of the EMP. Wouldn't have had follow-up anyway, because his follow-up got hit by Sleep Dart, so a bang. Forced to fully reset here, and now Suntag is about to possibly get an EMP. That could really put a spanner in the works.
It's gotta be the EMP. Oh, wow, what a Bionade. Wow, yeah, reveals him. Suntag does go down, though. One's able to stay alive, and that's so. A bang still kind of on the upper hand in this fight, I believe. Olivier, yeah, he did just barely get the self-destruct off. Trade backs, though, onto a bang. This isn't quite the whitewash fight that they need, and Xavier with that Primal Rage, maybe able to turn this one back around. They really need the CMP to get the mileage. Connects it in on a few, and Queen is still on the point, still has the presence. Naka's there as well, but he's a little bit surrounded, gonna go down, as is Oyo on the follow-up, and a bang. So close to it, but Xavier holding on.
Having a few problems here, understanding Blue always jumping off the high ground here. Him staying on the high ground would put a lot more pressure onto Xavier. He would have to force someone to hard commit him with the shift ability, but being on the low ground means anybody can kind of just walk in up. If a Logitech Geobang, they're not able to use the pressure that way. They're not able to outposition Xavier Esports. And part of that is them giving away their own position.
That is a window though, popping Sontag. He respawns though, and that means Naka's maybe found himself in a little bit too deep. Tay looking for the opportune moment to commit that Transcendence, but may not even need to, with one already dead. Xavier, no one's really gone down on their side of things. It's a Bang who have committed resources into a fight that only really was going their way with that pick on Sontag, but they couldn't follow up on it because they didn't have all their members back yet. Probably should have been a bit more conservative.
And now we're seeing a Bang get sort of further and further away from having another macro advantage in terms of at least the ultimates here. Xavier are just going to out economy them. I mean, they're already onto 3 defensive ones as well. You can be very proactive with the Nano. One's barely ahead of Sontag in terms of EMP, which means Sontag you can expect in the middle of the fight to also have one. A Bang, when they actually had like a 4 ultimate, 3 ultimate advantage, that time is long past.
They've really just got to make do with what little they have. They're also not really that sort of massively ahead in the EMP arms race either. They do pop THK, but so far this has already been a bit expensive for them with that Transcendence. Blue up on the high ground. Gonna get dislodged first by the dive and also that self-destruct. Queen able to find Shin on the dive. Can't raise yourself. And Logitech, they need to hold on to these ultimates here, which is a shame because they've only just kind of got them banked up.
And Queen with the Primal Rage as well, just splitting up the team, even just playing a little bit of ring around.
Oh,
Blue.
man.
Now the final kills come in. You can see when a Bang really want to start pushing in. You can see when they really start want to punish the positioning of Xavier with their own high ground advantage. They kind of just can't, and now we're heading into the last couple of pushes. You probably can get 2 really good ones here with some good setup, and they finally do have at least some ultimate advantage. You definitely want to see Blue stay on the high ground. You want to see a good visor out of him, and you want to see him protected.
But so far, Xavier have started to read the win condition from a Bang better and better. EMP from One right up on the high ground, looking to pop Olivier straight out the gate, but actually it's One getting low, 6 health. May be able to get out, just barely does by the skin of his teeth as they do take the tanks off the table for Xavier. And Sontag's own EMP just not getting the same mileage. They've got a couple back though, and it's been just enough. And a Bang, they just kind of have to take that loss on the chin once again.
And by the way, Olivier and the Baby Diva actually killed Shin as the Mercy and then remixed off that damage. So even when a Bang kind of, you know, they dropped the EMP, primarily they were going for Olivier, and that makes sense. When you get rid of the Diva, you actually get a very good visor out of it. But Olivier, again, he just got killed and got himself back in the mech. So all of that was for naught. And then a Bang didn't even get a chance to use the rest of their ults.
And this is just looking like the same thing. They got the good push onto A, got a decent one onto B, got that second, third, all the way up to 94, and now they just kind of run out of steam. They haven't found much headway, even with what ultimates they've had. Valkyrie in, Dreamer is down, but Queen again on the deep dive. A Bang. They're constantly getting the proactivity and priority stolen away from them because Queen and Olivier are more proactive on the dive. They're getting right up in a Bang's face. And now a Bang, they're having to spend half of the fight just recovering, getting into position, let alone fighting on the point. And now that they're on the point, it's not with enough members. Oyo is going to run out with the Transcendence, and that means Shin alive alone on the point, soon to be dead. And that's Xavier closing it out of the defense.
And once Xavier had forced a full reset onto a Bang, they just kind of had the momentum behind their backs the entire time afterwards. And for a team like a Bang, they could never had the same sort of setup. Even plays that they made towards the end there, like the EMP coming out, but then unfortunately losing members and having members forced backwards while the EMP came out. That's just part of Xavier understanding how to play against some of the ultimates and some of the win conditions that a Bang had brought with them. And towards the end, Queen significantly shutting down the soldier player from Blue time and time again. Doesn't even necessarily kill him, but the fact that he just pushes him around, forces him backwards. This is about the time when, if you're a team like a Bang, it's time to stop walking backwards and start moving forwards. Criticize him for staying on the high ground too long before. That's before he got pressured. But this time, if you are pressured, drop down to the low ground and help your team. Don't run backwards.
Now, on the defense, we do have to see a Bang just play a little bit better. Unfortunately, only getting to 94.8% there. Just shy of that cap. Here's the thing. It is close enough to a full cap that it might as well be a full cap. But the key difference is, because it's not a full cap, there's no opportunities for things like time bank.
But here's this line. The line is, it's enough for them to still win. But how many times have we said that this evening? It's been so many times that a team has nearly been there, and it's nearly been good enough to win, but nearly has never really been enough. Not for anybody this evening, unfortunately. So, Logitech Gia Bang, 94.8 is good, but they need to actually execute well enough to prevent Xavier from finishing the map.
And it's not over until it's over, but if they are able to execute well enough, then one does have to consider why they weren't able to execute well enough on the offense. And that's the reality of it. They weren't able to execute well enough on the offense. Certainly the evidence would suggest that the defense isn't going to go a whole lot better, but we've definitely been wrong in the past, and there is always time to turn things around. And the defense is a completely different kettle of fish. So Xavier out the gate on this triple tank. See how a Bang handle it.
Right now, Bang actually do have a pretty reasonable composition to deal with this. With their effect, well, they don't have a junk. Well, Logitech G Bang do have a junk crit, my apologies. And that is going to be very effective for breaking through Xavier here, who are now just rotating around the backside. Decent amount of energy for Olivier as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one died on the rotation, though, so a Bang now can't have to respond to this. The tanks are on the point. This is where they want to be. They've got the charge up. Good catch on THK. That's what a Bang are looking for. And Blue does have the sight line onto the point, can just kind of pummel the pressure in. And it's actually Xavier trying to find that angle, and Coalescence ought to be the go button for them. They need to be able to commit.
And the damage fight has to come through here where, you know, for a team like a Bang, they need some more damage. They don't have the Junkrat to contest the tanks on the side of a Bang. They're now only just putting the Widowmaker on the lineup themselves to try and contest Blue, but you saw the rotation from Blue deploy all the tanks before.
Hook straight in onto kept it exposed, but killing the Riptire from one. They do actually kill one as well. That's a pretty good way for things to go for a Bang there on the defense, despite Narc taking a chunk of pressure. He's still alive, still on fight, kind of anchoring the team as Blue does get the catch, and now it's Xavier needing to get just a little bit more mileage out of what they've got here. Blue trying to wrap around as well. A little bit dangerous. Narc's down. Xavier, they haven't properly been dislodged, and Olivier looks like he's lasted just long enough. Finally goes down late in the fight, but Shin's dead. Smilable is going to get demeched here. Blue and One both getting pressured out, and Queen, even with Olivier dead, Queen is still able to anchor the team on the point.
This time so much quicker from Xavier. You see the way they just sort of run into the point there, and it's safe because they actually have a Coalescence. So running on there, big ultimate to come into play as well. THK pulling a lot of the pressure away from the team from the opposite Widowmaker. Blue had to deal with THK in that Widowmaker duel, so Blue was not able to get a lot of damage done onto Xavier as they rotated onto the point. That gave Xavier a clean 5v5.
I will say though, this is the harder part for Xavier, and arguably the easier part for a Bang, is the point B. But Xavier have tools. They've got really good tools. They've got another Coalescence, they've got a Sound Barrier, and they've got a Graviton.
Right now, they're just going to make sure no one dies to Blue on entry, which is the hardest part. They have ultimates to deal with that, though. Sound Barrier, you got to think, should be coming into play at pretty soon, because if they lose an important member here, it's all over.
Yeah, they ran that one very fine, but they've got the full wraparound. I mean, the defender's become the attacker right now. It's a Bang kind of on the wrong side of this fight. It's going to be a lot of ultimates committed out of a Bang, only just getting Dreamer there, who had used the Coalescence already. They are at least avoiding the Graviton at this point, but Olivier finally committing that one in. Oh, but he's dead. That means it's only Sontag and THK who can really follow up, and they just don't quite get enough kills. A Bang. They should have got enough here, I think. No. They've still got the respawners coming in, though. This is where that 94 helps them. Sontag out with the whole hog. Does go down, but the Death Blossom gets punched to death by one. They didn't quite get that second, third either. A Bang barely stabilizing.
In fact, the effort from a Bang, or rather from Xavier, to even have gotten the amount of kills and the amount of progress they did, despite Olivier dying so quickly after committing the Graviton Surge, if he had lived, that might have been enough damage to get a lot more members down much more quicker. But Xavier, look, the Death Blossom in there securing a couple, almost pushing to the second tick. Not quite enough, though. One tick after 1.5 minutes, you'll take it.
May as well. Xavier do kind of reset their own ultimates there with the compositional swap. It does give a Bang more breathing room on the defense here. 4 minutes remaining for them to hold out. They've got to really rotate through these ultimates well. Oh man, that's a spicy 1-for-1.
Still a pushable advantage, especially with the res coming into play, making it 6v2,
Oh.
6v4 rather.
The res on 1 and Tay dead though, so that's still a Bang in a good position on the defense, especially now with Dreamer dead. Blue, I mean, he can take as many shots as he likes. Xavier may just need to back out of this one.
Xavier losing a lot of members now. Also crucial to have not used the infra site there. Coming out from Blue, dying late to Olivier doesn't really matter for him. He'll definitely respawn in time. And for Xavier, well, they're going to have to wait for their whole team. Still don't have an ultimate advantage, still losing time. We're nearly 1 minute down from that initial push that nearly got the 2 ticks. And so far, since then, we haven't seen much progress at all. THK also did die quite early to Blue, so far, Blue's had the leg up in this duel.
No one can hide.
He's on fire, so it's all there, writ large. This is a great attack visor, infra sight, rather. It's not quite a tactical visor, it's a little bit different. Imagine aimbot on Widowmaker, that would be a bit rough. But it spots out Sontag, so that wastes more time for Xavier.
If there was, it would be body shots only, so maybe it wouldn't be so bad. This is a little bit more painful, though.
Yeah, Dreamer dying on his way into the fight. Hey, that's a pretty nice headshot out of THK, but again, I don't really think this is actually enough here for Xavier to really get in on, especially with THK now dead. They're going to try and make it work anyway, but now Sontag goes down. Self-destruct on the point for Olivier, zones some members, but I mean, I don't know if they even get really a third here. It's going to be a Transcendence out the gate for Oyo, so Logitech G a Bang should be able to, responded, but I mean, that's only kind of for now. Queen is diving deep, but again, they haven't actually gained more progress on the point with all this, and eventually a Bang do just start stabilizing. That's the way these defenses naturally go.
And we're also seeing Blue picking up kills on the backside as well, looking to maybe even clean up members trying to respawn. This is very dangerous for Xavier, who actually are not even fully out of this. A couple of members stuck around there, now only 2 minutes remaining. 2.5 minutes ago, we said they had a pretty decent push. 2.5 minutes later, they haven't really had that decent push again. They haven't had the chance to really put a Bang onto the back foot, really get this big ultimate advantage to threaten to cap the entire point through, and they might not now if they're not careful.
Sontag very nearly got headshotted to death there. A Bang is cycling through ultimates fairly well on this defense, and once again, you see that infra sight. It's going to make it a lot harder for Sontag to charge up ultimate. One as well, catching Tay. Again, it's just more time lost from Xavier. We're seeing this happen very systematically. Really the same thing they were doing to a Bang a lot of the time.
And right now, Xavier still don't have good options to make it in. By the way, Dreamer also used the Valkyrie there, so we're also seeing ults now that are not going to get enough value. Blue take a couple of shots there.
Doesn't even mind. He's like, yeah, I'll stay out in the open still. Because he knows actually that Xavier don't really have sightlines on him, and when they do, they leave themselves exposed to him, not the other way around. And a Bang still doing pretty well in this fight, picking Tay, resin onto Queen, but Xavier's still at a numbers disadvantage. They've got to back out of this one. They've got to accept that they have not got this fight.
And suddenly the possibility of them getting the full hold becomes so much more real. Xavier, though, there's going to be at least one good last hurrah. In fact, the last hurrah might be the one that really seals the deal here. Just going to wait for Olivier to respawn, and then the push should begin. The EMP is available, Primal Rage available, Tangle the Transcendence as well. This has been the push that Xavier have been banking up towards. This is going to be the one that counts.
Here's the visor, though, again from Blue, getting committed right away. The infra sight to spot out Sontag. Makes it so much harder for him to find an angle for the EMP. They just have to wait it out.
And they got a little bit of time to do that with it, and very patient from them. They don't want to give this one up. They don't want to give Logitech G-Bang any feet to stand on when this push finally comes on through. Olivier's even nearly got an ultimate.
I mean, they still knew that they were coming in that top side. That had still got spotted out by the infra side. Oyo straight in with a Transcendence rather, as that EMP did connect, saves the whole team on the point. None of them have died yet. It's Tay the first casualty. They finally get a couple back. But again, unless it is a landslide win for Xavier, it won't be enough. But they're getting the kill through. Now Shin down, smiteable as well. Narc's got a stall, does not have a Primal Rage. Blue certainly not going to be the one to do it. They need to get some boots on the ground here. No, no one's in. One trying to dive. That could not have come any later, but it came when it needed to, and Xavier with that secure at least the 3-1 victory, if not a full 4-0, and with that, the third place finish.
And look how happy they were as well. Teammates celebrating there, knowing that they had claimed their victory. Look at this from Olivier, though, getting the kill onto Shin. whacking Oreo in the face, allowing teammate Tay to secure that one, then straight back into the mech and cleaning up Blue. That was incredible, and that was all after being demech'd after a sound barrier. Well, not a sound barrier, EMP was basically solo committed on top of him. So, I mean, a lot of big plays come out from Xavier, and for a bang, it's going to be heartbreak. They knew how winnable that was. They nearly had it. You could see right at the end, the win was in sights. The full hold was in sights. And for the first time on that entire B defense, we saw one, rather not one, but Blue on the Widowmaker not having effect, because unfortunately that last engagement, that's when the Widowmaker, like you sort of said, is not going to be the one jumping on the point for starters, but also secondly, Infrasight's not going to do you any good in that final engagement.
And that's the thing. I mean, they at least wasted that little extra bit of time, but ultimately that didn't make too much of a difference. What it did allow them to do is they knew exactly what direction Xavier were going to be coming from. They really had, you know, everything you could hope for. They were sat in on the defense. They still had ultimates to use. They knew what tools the attackers had. They knew where they were going to be coming from, and it all came down to the execution. And it's the same thing we've just seen time and time again for a bang. Unfortunately, at the most crucial moments, they haven't come through.
Yeah. I think you sort of mentioned as well, it comes down to execution, because you have the information. The information then you have to use to execute with. So yes, you know they're coming from the top left, but what are you going to do about it? What is your line of play? And the line of play from a bang that could have stopped that is, we know they're coming this way. Let's get onto them early, get onto them aggressively, force them to ult early. They have a lot of ultimates, 5 ultimates. Make them primal early, make them transcend early. As long as it's not happening on the point, we're not feeling threatened, and that wasn't the case.
And that's the thing, even with it then unfortunately not going ideally and kind of ending up on the point, the EMP came out, OYO was there with the Transcendence. They had the right kind of tools, things were looking okay. And the thing that ended up doing it in for them was Queen was still able to get in behind him. He was able to start pressuring Blue. Narc as well, unfortunately, was low despite the Transcendence, because he wasn't always able to be in it. And it just started to fall apart from there. And it's really unfortunate that they got so close for all the good things that were happening up until that point. And I have to say, I accuse this team of starting strong and petering out. On their defense there, I can't say the same thing. That was a good defense. For the entire 5 minutes they were sat there on B, they were constantly stopping Xavier up short, and it was that very final one where it didn't quite come through. But again, it's execution when it counts most. Xavier had it, a bang didn't. I
mean, let's also peel it back a bit and go back in time and consider that it's also due to the fact that they didn't cap out B fully themselves. Let's imagine that they capped out B fully themselves. We would be going into time back. That is also on a bang's shoulders. They did not finish the map, therefore they did not give them themselves the ability to take the map a little bit further and get that second opportunity. It's also, just while we're here, a substitution now for map number 4. This one, of course, is just for points, but Azalea is coming back in instead of Suntag.
So, and I mean, it is just for points, but the other thing, and this is what I have to go back to, it's true for both of these teams now. After Yoshimoto losing to Blank, they're both secure in playoffs. This match is entirely for placement, that 3rd versus that 4th. It determines who you play in the playoffs. Map for this last one is going to be Dorado. And the thing that still rides on this last one, it's more of an ephemeral thing. It's not as concrete as, you know, making playoffs and, you know, what your placement is for that. But it's how good you look going into playoffs. It's what your send-off for the season is. This is the point at which you want to give your best showing possible.
Exactly. So I think that's true for both teams, but especially now true for Xavier, who riding off the back of a 3-0 want to make it a 4-0. That would certainly be a statement going into playoffs where they'll face Hong Kong Attitude, and you're going to need all the help you can get against a team like Hong Kong Attitude, which is doing extremely well right now. Xavier cannot show any holes. Xavier need to make sure they have a strong finish.
And that's the thing, right? It's right now looking like the difference between getting a 4-0 before playing the 2nd seed and getting 0-4 before playing the 1st seed. I don't need to tell you which one of those makes you look better going into playoffs, which one of those gives you better odds, at least on paper. As much as there isn't that same head-to-head, there are no comparative metrics in this sort of situation, but that's what they get to carry into playoffs. And if you 4-0, I mean, I guarantee you things will have gone wrong for you. There will be things that you look to address and adjust over the course of the week, but the team that gets 0-4'd, I mean, even the team that gets 1-3'd, they've got a lot more they have to address, and they go into a tougher matchup as well.
It's also considered now that the journey, at least so far, is not over for either team. Both teams will definitely be going into playoffs, but for a bang, as you've mentioned, the much tougher opponent in Detonator Korea, but at the same time, going 0-4 here, would really affect the confidence levels moving in against Detonator Korea. And I would like to say that also in that specific matchup, Detonator Korea looks so good that for a Bang, it's going to be super, super tough no matter which way you slice it. But you certainly want to be feeling much better going into that, knowing it's going to be the toughest match of the season.
And that is why this last map still stands to be important for both of these teams, for Logitech, Giabang. It is about at least fixing some of what's gone wrong over the series. Have a better showing than what you have on the previous maps. Have just a little bit less you need to address in the week before your quarterfinal. For Xavier, it's completing that 4-0. It's doing so in the most dominating fashion you possibly can. It's looking as good as you possibly can before you go into your quarterfinal.
Yeah, this is, okay, well, that's a
Hello.
start. That's definitely a start. The other thing that really sucks is one actually had a deflect out in front of blue, but even that was not enough.
That's rough. That's really rough. I mean, it doesn't change much, to be honest. It gives THK some charge. It maybe hurts a bit for blue. Wounds his pride, but it doesn't waste too much time.
Realistically, Xavier should have been able to dive off that if they were already set up. You can see them playing this back position, so not like you said, it doesn't change anything because they're not set up to make it a real big difference and already being forced backwards without doing too much damage. I mean, the cart technically wasn't stopped, so the only thing that they got out of it was some extra charge onto THK.
And it's not exactly the most impactful ultimate, really. Now Funny in the secondary position, now one getting spotted out in the flank, as per usual. THK just looking for sightlines, looking for picks still. Nothing coming through, and now they look to fight under the archway. Oh dear, that's not a great start for Olivier. Pressure's on. Getting the catch though on one does kind of flip the script just a little bit of that one, but without these tanks, it's going to be a lot more picks out of THK needed if they want to stabilize on this defense.
Yeah, certainly, because Carter's now about to move into the final position on A. Need to see Xavier group up back again, get the respawners back into action. Infrasight gonna actually come out for blue first instead of THK despite dying early, so for Logitech Giabang,
oh dear,
big advantages.
Doesn't even need it. They're still able to get these sightlines in. They pop Dreamer, pop Queen. They knew that Xavier were going to look to flood back into the points. I think it's quite brazen from blue to not use that Infrasight, but they didn't need it in the end.
I think, Val, that's going to be important moving on to the second section. Pretty easy cap. I mean, a Bang were barely stopped up, and you think for a team that just lost in the way they did onto Horizon, they'd be a little bit more shaken up, but they're feeling pretty good. At least they look pretty good. They haven't really been, they haven't been stopped at all.
And all it really was killing the tanks when that fight finally came to a head. It was a pretty quiet one at that. And actually, Xavier just kind of given them the space so far. That's still kind of happening. The fight's happening on the high ground right now. No one's dying for it. Now finally committing the big ultimates now that the payload's rounded the bend here. Azalea's the first casualty. One's looking to get a little bit more than just that. Not quite able to get Dreamer, just shy of the last swoop of the blade. But Olivier's demeched and is going to go down anyway. So it's still a Bang coming out the better of this fight.
Most importantly, though, Azalea died with Blade, so maybe one didn't get a second slash onto Dreamer to take him down, but Logitech Giabang win the fight anyway. They got better picks overall.
Ooh.
One gets a kill onto THK, now giving Blue a lot of space to work with. Look at their car position, though.
Yeah, and Xavier is still getting forced backwards here. This is a transcendence from Tay, just to try and get the team onto the cart. And they're doing so disjointedly. They are not all gathered up here. They're separated and spread out, but with the pick on Oyo, who did have a coalescence, this could be Xavier starting to stabilize just a touch. Indeed, a Bang. I'm going to go ahead and give them the space. Good catch on blue. Azalea's going to get brazen with that. No, shouldn't go too far forward. And that's the stabilization.
That's the kind of play that Xavier need. Cart position is unfortunately not so good for them right now. If this was closer to the end of the map in terms of time, you wouldn't mind this card to be here because Logitech Giabang would have a much longer respawn distance, but right now, Logitech Giabang still have resources, they still have ways to win. If they can pull that out, specifically Transcendence to block out Azalea's Blade, I mean, they can win one fight and push the cap over to be all the way.
I mean, certainly they ought to, and one's already been able to dive onto Tay. Dreamer knows he can't go for that res. He's going to get pressured out as well. This is all execution from a Bang. Xavier just letting themselves kind of get surrounded there, now just getting picked apart one by one. Not even a single kill in response.
And that's the kind of flank that Logitech G are bang. I mean, so good from one, able to find Tay onto the back line, but most importantly, the pressure onto Azalea as well. Note that OU used Transcendence fairly early, and now they're also snowballing onto respawners. Bang are just pushing on through. They're not going to get any kills on respawners, which kind of sucks for them, but they get that space.
Yeah, that's the thing. They get the extra space while the cart kind of has to wait for the doors here. That could have been really devastating if they had have killed either of the two tanks that were coming out of what had only just stopped being a spawn room. Azalea getting aggressive here. Already down to one's Dragon Blade. Self-destruct into the air. Getting Olivier's mech. Oh, it's just all falling apart for Xavier. Again, it's just space and continued momentum here for a bang. They did use a lot of ults on that fight, but so did Xavier, and a bang still have more.
Now let's consider if one decided not to use his ultimate and get a kill into Azalea. OYO hand the Transcendence counter again. Note that OYO just used the Transcendence to camp B. He already has a second one against Azalea's first blade that he could not use onto B. And the cart continues to move. Ultimate still into play from a bang.
Self-destructs. And everyone just ducks for cover. It's not going to get anything. Doesn't even really buy them much time because it's still one getting aggressive on the dive. There's the Transcendence from OYO to match Tay's own. And again, it's Olivier, the tanks, getting pressured out early on in this fight. He is going to get demexed there. And you can't say the same for a Bang's tanks. They're just weathering the storm. Queen going to go down as well. Finally, a bit of a trade back, but I mean, that's all it's really going to be. It's a largely unmitigated success here for a Bang. Pulse Bomb in as well. The follow-up damage from Narc on the dive. And another Dragon Blade for one. Not that he's got any targets to hit at anyway. Still finds THK despite the blink. Doesn't straight away.
And right now, though, struggling to get members back into the fight, which is Xavier. Don't have ultimates either, losing so many members. Bubbles on top of the cart. That's 5 down. No one coming back through from Xavier to save this one. And for the first time so far, a Bang, they cap on through. Couldn't do it on Horizon Lunar Colony. Could not do it on either of the other maps as well. Hollywood was a bit of a failure, but now onto Dorado. They've done it. They've actually completed the map, which means we're at least going to see a time bank if Xavier managed to do the same. And this is the version of Bang that you wanted to see earlier.
Yeah, I mean, where has this been all series long? And also, where is the Xavier we saw all series long been on Dorado? I mean, they put up little to no resistance throughout a lot of that. Like I said, unmitigated success is the phrase that I would use. And, I mean, on the whole, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was sat there wondering, okay, but when does it stop for a Bang? When do they start getting sloppy? When does Xavier dig in their heels? When do they adapt?
It never happens.
Yeah, that's a Bang finally getting it right, finally fixing what's been going wrong. And I talked about how important that was. It's only one map where they get to do it, but this is better than the rest of the series.
And you also got to think as well, and we kind of joked about OU dying a lot in Hollywood, but he's gone from that to not just not dying, but also the fact that he gets a Transcendence so quickly. He's gone from just, you know, not dying a lot to staying alive, getting a double Transcendence, and a Banger currently sitting in a pretty decent position. They can be happy with a 217 cap. You know, Xavier might cap themselves, but we're not going to get a repeat of Horizon where if Xavier cap, they win. If Xavier cap, we got a time bank, and Logitech G Bang get that second chance.
Well, I do have to pop a slight correction in there. He didn't actually use the Transcendence before the point B cap, which is why he still had it up on point C. At any rate, he was able to stay alive. Like you said, that's the thing. The pressure is also just not coming out there in the same way that it was before from Xavier. I mean, it's kind of this twofold thing. It's a Bang able to maintain the execution where they've failed to do so in the past, but it's also Xavier kind of failing on their own execution.
Right now we'll see what kind of execution Xavier have on this opening push. Eating a headshot from Blue early on is not going to help things out. We're seeing from both sides actually neither team willing to go for a very aggressive play on the cut, and maybe a Bang should be diving this because they did get a kill.
They did, but THK now being raised back in. Not going to have the opportunity just yet. And they're just going to have to back on up. Hopefully they don't give quite as much space as what Xavier gave to them. And all it's going to take is, you know, one good shot.
Realistically, the infra side coming up so quick. THK only on 27. You're seeing Blue consistently getting these ahead of Xavier, but right now Bang need to do something with the information. They didn't dive before, but now they should be setting up.
Yeah, they really ought to. They do kill Queen, so they've got the opportunity. Xavier do smartly back off, though.
Bang wasting a lot of time on A would certainly do them wonders to getting this full defense at any of these 3 points really sorted here, but Xavier also got a little bit of time to work with a couple ultimates about to come online. Dreamer specifically onto the Valkyrie, but again, Shin has his. So for every ultimate coming online for Xavier, Logitech get it first.
And that's the situation that Xavier are really facing. Azalea needs to get this Dragon Blade up and also needs to get a lot of mileage out of it. Because the Bang haven't quite got ahead in this fight. Xavier kind of passed the choke point. As I say that though, getting headshot, Queen going down as well. Dreamer doesn't really know which one to res, and he certainly can't res both. Also can't res Olivier. So they're just going to end up taking nothing and backing out despite popping the Valkyrie.
And a lot of these are happening just as the ultimate's coming online. Tay dying on 85-ish kind of percent here. Olivier dying before the self-destruct. I mean, if these ultimates were up, first of all, Tay wouldn't die in the Transcendence. Olivier would be able to remake himself, and for the first time, we're now going to see a response skill, but it should get rezzed up.
Yeah, THK, he was looking for, looking to catch Shin on the res actually, which means Shin doesn't get the res. Blue having to come back in from spawn here. This is a bit of an opportunity for Xavier, but again, the proactivity is here right now for a Bang, who also actually have the ultimates. It's the, Xavier, the onus is on them to get the opening picks here, as they already have lost Queen, having thrown in their self-destruct to no effect. Olivier's, it's just got nothing, unfortunately. Finally getting Smiteable out of the mech and to drop him down as well. And I was going to say, this has got to be an opportunity to Dragon Blade, but as I was about to say it, Azalea goes down, and now this is just a whitewash from a Bang.
And a Bang don't even have to use a Transcendence or anything there. They have an EMP that they also do not have to use. Xavier really getting caught up in this opening section. You can note that the cart is a little bit further back now, so you can almost expect a Bang to also be forced to pull backwards, but actually, they're still getting aggressive onto this choke, and Xavier are still just not even getting past the choke, despite the cart being already past it.
All right, well,
60 seconds remaining.
it's less than a minute now. That's pretty,
Scary.
yeah, it's pretty different to how Xavier played on their own defense there, which was pretty much just a walkthrough for a Bang. They need to muster a slightly more commanding fight. They've got the tools still. They've got this Dragon Blade that is, as of yet, got unused. But again, Olivier already down. Oh, are you kidding me?
Still no EMP.
Yeah, still no EMP to come out of one here. I mean, he's had it this whole time, but just getting hacks in has been plenty enough. Queen even popped a Primal Rage in that one. Is going to get staggered out at the end. As less than 30 seconds now remaining on the clock, Xavier, where's the headway?
And this is the kind of thing where a Bang don't even have to pull out their big guns. They don't even have to use the really big ultimates. In fact, well, I guess one big ultimate would be the Transcendence, but that was the only thing they had to use. EMP being available means they have a very clear win condition. Azalea might not be able to blade.
They already...
Okay, all right, that
They
works.
already knew THK was there. He was waiting for him to peek a little bit. Eventually just went, okay, I can just pop the Infrasight, kills THK. This is less than nothing here from Xavier. Not even close to the payload. I didn't even think the EMP was needed. I mean, if it got used, I didn't even notice. Like, the kills were already coming through. That, I mean, for how the rest of the series went, that was the most one-sided map of them all.
It certainly was. It was the one that we didn't see any distance. We've seen Hollywood go to B. We've seen, obviously, Horizon go to B. But this map, I mean, to get stopped up at A, it was one part a Bang finishing the map in a decent amount of time, 2 minutes something remaining. But then that defense was so solid. And we were kind of sitting there thinking...
close.
We were kind of sitting there thinking, okay, well, you know, Xavier's struggling a little bit, but they'll find their feet. They'll push on through it. It'll be fine. We'll go to B and see how they do. Maybe they won't cap out on C. Maybe that's where Xavier gets stopped up. But to consider them completely losing A, I mean, by the time we get to that last minute, it's like, this is happening. This could actually happen.
Xavier do collect their handshakes. Smiles on their faces. They do still secure the win. 3-1. That means they get that third place seed as well, crucially. They avoid having to play the almost undefeated Detonator Korea. They will instead be playing against Hong Kong Attitude, who are looking scary, but you'll take it. You'll take it over Detonator Korea right now if you're Xavier. But I have to say, as Xavier collect their bows, Logitech Gia Bang should feel good about how that last map went. If that's how they can play, they can get that consistent. I mean, they still come up against Detonator Korea. That's still scary, and it's going to be tough. I don't know really how winnable that series is going to be for them in the quarterfinals, but it can at least be a good showing. It can at least be competitive. And when you come on into Season 2, you start building, you start getting better and better and better. Maybe next time around, they finish third.
So the thing that we can really look at here, as evidenced by that series, is a Bang. They got some big highs. They can reach some really big heights with that. But the problem is the consistency That's part of the issue. They got to go they got to be inconsistent for a few maps in a row. Then suddenly into map 4, the one that, unfortunately for them in this particular series, the one that doesn't really count. That's where they start blowing up. I mean, that's a little bit too late when you consider it in the quarterfinal. That's not a 4-map series.
Yeah.
That's a best of 5. And if you take until map 4 to start coming into your own, you've already been 3-0'd and you're already out.
Exactly. It's just a little bit too late. I mean, maybe it doesn't go that way. Maybe they do start taking maps off Detonator Korea. I don't know. I don't know what wacky world we're going to find ourselves in when we do finally roll our way into playoffs starting as next week. But, I mean, that's what a Bang are capable of. And here's the thing. This is like we said, basically a team of 6 friends who just happen to be really good, and they're getting better and better. How many times have we seen that same kind of thing? But that's been the team that ends up in the bottom 2 or even last place with absolutely no wins. This is not that team. This is a team that had enough wins to qualify for playoffs. They may only do so in 4th place, and they may not get any further than quarterfinals, but they will be in playoffs. They will be back for Contenders Season 2 Pacific, and I see this team having a long future in front of them.
And this is the kind of team as well when even against Oneshine and Yoshimoto Encounter, who they beat, going into those matches, you look at it and say, okay, well, there's 2 professional teams here, in the case of Oneshine and Yoshimoto, and it's a Bang that are technically not a professional team, they're not a pro team, they're a good team, and they technically come in as underdogs. I mean, they shouldn't be as good as the teams that are actually pros, so the fact that they're beating them, really, really threatening maps off other teams as well. I mean, pushing teams like Mega, pushing teams, I would say even definitely in that last map here in this series against Xavier. I mean, they've shown some of these really hot points for them. They kind of look like a hot and cold team right now. When they're cold, unfortunately, it's not very good. But when they're hot,